Friends, did you ever wonder why? Well, you know why. You don't have to wonder. That the Watchtower don't want no one to know their history. See, history is a very, very important thing about your marriage mate, your job, where you worked at before. If you go get a job, they want to know where you worked before. They want to know what you have done in your life. Okay? You want to know that person's background. That's common sense. Common sense. You want to know something about the person that you're becoming involved with, especially a religious organization. Now, I've come into my possession of something that I found out in the shed that was a book written by Rutherford. That was back in like 1925 or in the 30s that he wrote this book. And it's called The Light Book. That's what it's called. And it's so beat up, but this is how it, okay, that's how it looked, The Light Book. It was purple. And I was reading that book, and it is unbelievable that here is a man who was president of a cult back then, and indeed was their leader. He was their leader. And I can truthfully say, if I had a 2-year-old grandson, he would laugh at this. The statement he made in one of these books is unbelievable. And on page 257, he made the statement that perhaps Jehovah God will put Satan's body on display. Now let me repeat that. That Jehovah God would put Satan the devil's body on display for 1,000 years, so the angels could come around and view this body and indeed know that he indeed was dead. This is what he said on page 257. Now this is the kind of leaders that 8 million people have gotten around to follow. 8 million people would still believe this nonsense if you showed it to them. They would have a reason to believe it. They all do, you know, they're in that box, and they won't get out of that box. They won't look left. They won't look right. They only look straight ahead, and anything you show them or say to them, they don't even see it. See? And their concept is in activation. See? These 8 million people have made themselves a victim of a victim themselves. You know, the governing body, they are victims. Sad to say. They are victims of Satan the devil. Now, we're victims also. Because we, or in my case at one time, I followed that nonsense. That's all it is nonsense. Big corporation that has 8 million slaves out there selling books for them so they can stay wealthy, and they got this fictitious religious dress on them or religious suit that says they are a religion, see? And all they do is look out for themselves and get all the money they can. They're incorporated. See? So your incorporation means you're a business. See? You're incorporated as a business. But they play this poor mouth game. They get everything they can free. Everything. They would get on welfare if they could. They would get that if they could. They would get food stamps if they could. They might get it. I don't know. I never even thought about that. No one hardly believes and knows that they get money from the United Way. The United Way they get money from. It's right there, right on the computer. If you look into it, you can find it. United Way helps organizations that helps other people. Well, we all know that the Watchtower don't help nobody but themselves. They don't help nobody but themselves. For example, when a storm hits some of the kingdom halls or the houses that some of the brothers owned or own, yeah, they'll pitch in and come down there if it's in the South, and they'll help them build their home back up, put a new roof on. But who do you think gets the insurance money? If that brother had insurance on that home, the Watchtower is going to get that insurance money. Don't you think they won't? They will. Because they have lawyers up there that takes care of business like that. You know, Elvis Presley used to have a sign on his necklace, TCB. It meant taking care of business. Well, Watchtower has lawyers up there, and they got them things around their necks too. Taking care of business. Business. This is what it's all about. Money. They ain't no different than any other corporation today. They ain't no different than Joel Osteen or T.D. Jakes, all these fakes on TV, Joyce Meyer. They ain't no better. They ain't no different than they are. They're out for the buck. They're out for the buck. That's all it is. And they got this little tradition that they are God's channel. God's channel. The channel of God. Well, a person had to be brainwashed to believe that. He had to be brainwashed to believe that. Because how can 7 bent over old men be a channel of God? What about them makes them a channel of God? What do? All they do is head a corporation, publishing books. But you know, the book business is about through now. You know, newspapers, I quit buying newspapers now. I don't even read them no more because the print is so small, you can't even read the darn thing. So I quit buying them. I'd spend $1.50, $2 for a newspaper, but I'm not going to buy something and throw it out in the trash can because you can't even hardly see the print. So that's telling me that the newspaper business is going down then. They have resorted to cutting prices and cutting everything they could to try to regroup and stay in business. And the first thing that a company will do that is the print business, they will cut down on the print itself. And this is what the Watchtower has done. They have cut the Watchtower Wake in half. In half. Instead of 32 pages, it's now 16 pages. And it's like toilet tissue. Same thing, toilet tissue. And I don't know why anybody would even donate to get those 2 magazines, because there's nothing new in them. It's all the same garbage about some elephant over there in Africa somewhere, or do you believe in God, or why you should believe in God. And it's never coming out telling you what's going on. It don't tell you nothing. All they do is keep reprinting the same material over and over and over. And these people believe anything they say. They believe anything they print. They believe it. It's from God's channel. Okay? But like I said, this same guy is the kind of people that they still follow. Rutherford, they used to call him Booze Rutherford. I wonder why. I wonder why they called him Booze Rutherford. Yes, they called him Booze Rutherford. It must be a reason. He had 2 Cadillacs. 2 Cadillacs he had at a time when the whole world was in a depression. But Big John, he had 2 Cadillacs. See? You won't hear the witnesses talk about that, see? You won't hear them talk about it. If you would even bring it up, the first thing they'll say, well, that's some apostate said. Some apostate said. You know, the apostate gets the blame for everything that was ever happened in this world. They would blame it on the apostate. They tried to blame the apostates for 9/11. They would if they could. They would if they could. They blamed Hitler on the apostate if they could. They would blame anybody but themselves. Anybody. So, friends, what I'm trying to say to you is use common sense when you read anything about any religion. Use common sense. And the common sense tells me that all religions mostly are businesses. It's all about businesses. You know, I had an uncle down in North Carolina. He told me many years ago, that he says, nephew, let me tell you one thing. Religion and politics is a rich man's game and a poor man's argument. Poor people will sit around and argue about it. That's all they do. Who's the best politician and who's the best senator, who's the best president. And then they'll sit around and argue about, is there a cross? Is there a Trinity? Is there a Jesus? Is there this? Did the Red River or the, river, was that true? Was that true? It goes on and on and on. See? What has happened to this world about religion? Religion is a snare and a racket. A snare and a racket. Judge Rutherford did say that, and that's one thing I give him credit for. He did say that religion was a racket. A snare and a racket. And he was right about that. I can't say he was right about anything else. Oh, the Red Sea. That's what was pardoned. The Red Sea. That's what it was. So, friends, my advice to you about Jehovah's Witnesses is when they come to your door, just talk about Jesus. Just talk about Jesus. Just talk about Jesus. Because if you talk about Jesus, whom they threw under the bus, they're going to leave. They're going to leave. And they'll come back again to see if you change your sounds. And just keep talking about Jesus. Just keep talking about Jesus. They'll stop coming. It'll be far in between. That's the way it works. So, this present time, I'm going to sign off and say, thank you very much. And whatever you do in life, use common sense. Good night.